Okay, so I think what I want to talk about over the next 10-15 minutes dovetails completely with Indian and Hindu philosophy. Because if I'm not mistaken, and excuse me if I'm pronouncing something wrong, there's the term in Sanskrit, daka, dealing with problems. And according to the Bhagavad Gita, one is called not to abandon one's duty when things get difficult, but we have to embrace the difficulties. You can't run away from it. And if we think what we've been through just in the past 4 or 5 years, let alone through our lifetimes, how do we have innovation in such a fragile world? And I want to use the paradigm of my university as a way of embracing innovation when things look impossible. And this is built into the DNA of my university. Our university was founded by Israel's first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, who was also Israel's first entrepreneur. And his startup was the country. And he said in 1948, in Israel, in order to be a realist, you must believe in miracles. And then he said a little while later, in the same year that I was born in 1963, you may consider me a madman or a layman, but I dream of a kind of Hebrew Oxford in the Negev. Now, to put things in perspective, in the Negev, it's 60% of Israel's geography. It's a desert, 2 millimeters of rain a year. The poorest region of Israel, sparsely populated. There were more camels than people in the capital of the Negev, Beersheba, in 1963. And Ben-Gurion, who immediately understood the importance of higher education in transforming a region, the power of higher education to transform a region, dreamed of an Oxford in the Negev. So I ask you, was he a madman? Or was he a visionary? Or maybe a little bit of both? Because today, Ben-Gurion University has 20,000 students, which was more than the entire population of Beersheba in 1963. We have, of those 20,000 students, 9,000 are PhD and master's students. We have Israel's National Center for Cybersecurity, Israel's leading medical school, Israel's National Center for Biotechnology, National Autism Research Center. The list goes on, and it makes no sense. And the only reason it happened was because he was an entrepreneur who dared to imagine the impossible. So now we're one university that's embracing the diversity that we have in our region. 1/3 of our graduates, we're the poorest region of the country. 1/3 of our students get financial aid, or else they would not be able to be coming. We have a growing Bedouin population. The Bedouin Arabs are the poorest population. They were nomads until a few decades ago in Israel. About 1/5 to 1/6 of our population are Muslim Arabs. And an international community of 1,000 students from more than 70 countries, all living in peace, studying together at Ben-Gurion University. Again, you have to be a madman to think that that's even possible. So, what is innovation? And what is breaking down the silos? So part of it is understanding the geography. What we have here is an aerial map of the part of Beersheba where we are. These are the slums, the poorest neighborhoods of Israel, is where the university was put. As opposed to other universities in Israel, which are the richest neighborhoods, we are in the poorest neighborhoods of Israel. So here's the university right here. Across the street from us is Israel's second largest hospital, which is affiliated with the university. So we're building an ecosystem, both a hospital and a university. This is now a new train station, which makes it just about an hour to get to Israel's financial center in Tel Aviv. The university is doubling its size. We're now building another 20 research buildings here in this area across the thing. And 15 years ago, we built our own advanced technologies park. No, it's sort of maybe like Coimbatore, I'm not 100% sure, but no one believed that high tech could thrive in the desert. Like most places in the world where there's poor population, you put poor industries. We had a textile industry, we had brick industries, we had mining, but no high-tech. High-tech was all in the center and in the north of the country. No one would invest in it. Normally, you would think that you would have private investments coming in. So together with the municipality, who gave us this the government gave us this plot of land, and together with the municipality, we built our own high-tech park, which I'll get to in a second. And now what's happening, you're getting a trickle down from a high-tech park, a university, the hospital, we're the largest employer, and there's a massive urban renewal going in all of these neighborhoods where we're building an ecosystem where our graduates want to stay, work, open their businesses, open shops. People want to now live, come back in the city, and the entire area is being transformed. So it's the interaction of the university, hospital, industry, municipal government, and the national government all coming together to completely transform a region. I talked about our park. Again, it was a dream no one believed that could happen, but today we have in this park 3,000 engineers, and every 3 years we're adding an extra building. 70% of these are our graduates. Ben Gurion University graduates 1/3 of Israel's engineers, but until 10 years ago, they all had to move north to find work. Now people are staying, and it's not only small local companies that came out of the university. NVIDIA, Deutsche Telekom, Oracle, Dell EMC, all the large companies are moving down because they're interested in one thing: talent. And they want to grab the talent before someone else grabs the talent. And this is transforming the region. That if I go back here, my apartment is right here. And the value of the apartments here have tripled in 5 years. Your apartment is there also if you bought it late. Yes. It's really, really, really incredible. And so what happens is our students can cross this bridge. They do their degrees, they're studying, and in the afternoon they get student jobs. They're sought after, so they can go back and forth, working in NVIDIA, working in IBM, working in Dell EMC, and then they have a job when they finish. So it's been an incredibly fragile world since 2020. I became president in 2019. Let's say 1 year to learn. And what has happened since 2020? We've had the pandemic. In Israel, we've had massive political unrest and attacks on democracy, demonstrations all over the place, and in the university. We had the October 19th massacre, where in my university, 117 people were killed, 10 were taken hostage. We had the Gaza war, which you've seen all over the news, which incredibly ended 3 days ago. We had the 12-day war with Iran, where 3 missiles landed on our university, destroying part of the hospital and 2 buildings in the university. No one was injured, miraculously. And we've had the threats of academic boycotts. Not much for 5 years. So how have we responded? How has this affected the university? Rough times, Lucha. Well, we've had a 20% increase in student numbers. We've had a 5% increase in competitive governmental support. We've made 5 new schools and faculties, 25% increase in external funding of research, and a 200-place jump in the Shanghai rankings. These two things should not go together. But we didn't go under a rock. We didn't hide our heads. We didn't cry, and we were not acting as victims. And so the answer is, how do we survive in such a fragile world? So I think there are 3 lessons for all of us, but especially in academia. How do we survive in such a fragile world? The first one is, you have to quickly pivot. You cannot be married. No, you should be married. But you should not be committed to one way of doing things. We saw this during the COVID pandemic, where Ben Gurion University was the first university to go to online learning. We closed for only 1 day. When universities worldwide close for a week, 2 weeks, several months, within 1 day of deciding to close the university, we reopened online learning. Did we know what we were doing? We had no idea. But we made the decision to do it, and it worked. And we lost no time. So you have to quickly pivot. You have to be flexible. You have to do yoga. Second, you have to keep your eye on the target. It's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to say, boy, what am I going to do? But what was my target as president? My target as president was to be the fastest growing research university in Israel, which means that my investments went there, my decisions went there, my focus went there. Even with everything else going on, we never stopped that goal of putting the emphasis on basic research. And the third change was to use entrepreneurship as a cultural force. Entrepreneurship is often mistaken by being people who found startups. But entrepreneurship is not that. Entrepreneurship is a way of thinking that needs to infect, we can talk about infectious agents, every single one of us. What's entrepreneurial thinking? I forgot to bring it out in my bag. David Ben-Gurion in 1947, on November 29th was the day that, I think it's very close to Indian independence. On November 29th, 1947, the UN voted to found the state of Israel and the state of Palestine. That one didn't work, but the state of Israel did work. And he wrote in his notebook, which he had in his coat all the time, it's been decided. He writes down the vote: 33 for, 15 against, 10 abstained. And then in his handwriting, he writes down government, anthem, taxes, ports, currency, judicial, police. He wrote down a startup list of what is needed to found a country. I have 6 months to do it. We need to do all these things. He also said constitution. He got that one wrong. We're still waiting for it. But that is the type of thinking that has infected us since 1948. So entrepreneurship, of course, is founding companies, but it's changing the way you run the university. It's having every administrator thinking, what can I do differently? How can I take responsibility? Entrepreneurship is taking responsibility and not waiting for someone else to tell you what to do. The best things that have happened in the university were things that other people did, like BGU4 with Dorit. I brought Dorit to the university, but she decided what to do with it. Within this, we've also made a renewed commitment to the negative, to our area. It's very easy for institutions to become ivory towers, become white, beautiful white buildings like this one. But if we lose our connection to our local environment, then we lose our meaning. And first of all, let's be clear. The goal of a university is twofold: to educate and to do research. It's much cheaper to found an NGO than it is to found a university. But the impact of a university is 10 and 100-fold of that of any charity. And so we can actually become a better university through our commitment to our local communities, doing research in the communities, accepting students from the communities, and making sure everyone in the university is involved in some type of local project. I'm going to go back 1 second to entrepreneurship as a cultural force and talk about one particular project that we have at the university, which has really changed everything. It's our Student Entrepreneurship Center, which is called Yazamut 360. Yazamut means entrepreneurship. And I think it can be a paradigm for a university. Because our Entrepreneurship Center does not offer any degree. We have no degree in entrepreneurship at Ben-Gurion University. Because we think it is a way of thinking that a history student, a philosophy student, an engineer, a physician, a biotechnologist, everyone needs to learn to think as an entrepreneur. And so, for example, one of the things, so students can come into the center and be in a sandbox, can play. It's all their ideas. One of the things we have in Yazamut 360 is we have a venture capital fund. It's not really a venture capital fund because there's no venture capitalist. It's the money from the president. But what makes it interesting is that the investment committee is not a bunch of old professors, it's all undergraduate students who are on the investment committee. So there's a competition to go into the investment committee. Actually, last year, for the committee of 50 people, we had 2,000 applicants who wanted to be in the committee. And they get trained to be analysts. And then other undergraduate students pitch them their own startup ideas, and they can give out $20,000, $25,000 just to start their companies. And then we bring in mentors who volunteer to help them. The idea really is not to make money, because most of these will fail. And that's okay, but you get the experience from doing it. The students who are on the investment committee get jobs like that. Many of them come from the humanities, because it gets them actually a very good job. But we've had already over the past 5 years, one company that had an exit, and 3 companies that are now valued each at over $40 million. I'll give you one example. It was a physician and a computer science student who came together, a medical student, who came to the idea that there was a problem with screening for breast cancer. That in many traditional communities, women are reticent to go have a mammogram. It's not considered proper. And they said, wait a second, this whole idea that we've been doing it, and the women who have gone through this will understand that if you could get rid of the mammogram, you could happily get rid of it. They came up with like a brassiere with a wearable device that learns the breast of each woman individually. And they wear it twice a year. It has all types of sensors in it, works through the cell phone, uses a large language model to learn the tissue, and if there's changes in the tissue, send it to the physician, who then calls that one person in for further training. Yeah, they didn't even realize that this idea is so revolutionary that it's not only for traditional communities, every woman around the world would want this. And so this is a company that is taking off amazingly. But ideas from undergraduate students. But now I have my administrators doing classes here, I have professors doing classes here, because the way we run the university has to change. It has to be faster. We've gotten rid of over 1/3 of our regulations because they came up with an idea, let's get rid of the red tape. And people came up with ideas, we don't need this regulation, we don't need this regulation, we don't need this, you know what, they were right. There are ways things can be done much, much faster. So, from the Negev desert to Coimbatore to the monsoon, we don't have monsoon in the desert. This is more rain than I'll see in an entire year. But there are things that we can be doing together because our world is fragile. Fragile in different ways and fragile in common ways. And I'm convinced that we have so much to learn from each other, from us being here, from you coming to visit us, that we can actually make the world a much, much secure place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for your inspiring address. Your reflections on the Bhagavad Gita offered a truly meaningful perspective. Your expertise, advice, connecting timeless wisdom with modern academic and social values has truly been insightful. As a mark of respect and gratitude, Dr. Padma